Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. The meeting will be starting shortly. While we wait, let's learn more about Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams.
Hour is 7 o'clock. I'll now call the meeting to order. Good evening, Exeter. Good evening to my colleagues on the Select Board, respective town staff, those of you attending in the audience here tonight, and those watching at home. Welcome to the October 4th, 2021 Town of Exeter Select Board meeting. I'd first like to introduce the board. To my right, Vice Chair, Selectwoman Molly Cowan. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
And to my left, our clerk, Selectwoman Julie Gilman. Good evening.
Good evening.
Selectman Darrell Brown. Good evening.
Good evening.
And our town manager, Mr. Russ Dean. Good evening.
Good evening.
And also with us, our recording secretary, Joanna Bartel. Good evening, Joanna. Nice to have you back. Good evening. I'm Nico Papakostandis, and Selectwoman Roundtree Olaf had a prior commitment and will not be here this evening. So we'll jump right into our agenda, and first on the agenda is public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to comment and speak to the Select Board. However, we do ask if your comments are relative to anything on the agenda, that you wait until that agenda comes up. So I'll pause for a moment and see if there's any public comment.
Andrew Elliott, 42 Washington Street.
Good evening.
Hi. Just wanted to touch base on the Washington Street speeding issue that's ongoing. I know the police did finish their second speed survey, and as you saw, there were roughly 4,000 out of 9,000 cars in those 4 days going above the posted speed limit, which is 25. To that point, I did submit a letter, so you guys will see that, basically asking to have the town ordinances changed to reflect the posted speed limit from 30, which is the enforceable speed limit, to 25, which is the posted speed limit on my street, as well as two other streets that were recommended by Chief Poulin in a similar situation. So I know this is comment, so it's a one-way thing, but I'd be happy to continue this conversation on another select board. I know you guys are very busy with budgets and things coming up, but be happy to continue that conversation now that we've had the second speed survey indicate a high level of speeding on Washington.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Even though this is public comment, we were going to speak to this subject this evening during the town manager's report, just to give an update on what Chief Poulin is doing. And we did get your letter this afternoon, unfortunately not in time to put in the packet. It will be under correspondence for the October 18th. But You've come out on a rainy night. Mr. Dean, unless you have any objections, we won't make Mr. Elliott wait till the town manager's report. If you just want to give an update on what Chief Poulin's doing, we're looking at a holistic approach throughout the town. Various speed surveys will have to be done in streets, but Mr. Dean.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. We are in the midst of doing a couple of different speed surveys, one for Elliott, one for Pine, and we will probably be doing others as well. And the idea that we have is to do the ordinance changes all at once instead of piecemeal. So it usually takes at least a few weeks to do a speed survey, and I know that they're very actively engaged and are out there working on that now.
Okay. And maybe if we could just continue to update the public during, if not every meeting, every other meeting in the town manager's report where we're at, and hopefully it won't take long, but we want to do it collectively throughout the town, do it all at once and do it right.
I understand. I remember talking to Detective Page about it, and he had a pretty comprehensive list of what needed to get updated, and had requested that be done at some point years ago, and Just don't want it to get stalled again.
Absolutely. No, this is a priority, and that's something we discussed when you were here last, and I'm certainly happy to keep a dialogue going with you offline.
Sure. Sounds good.
Great. I appreciate you coming out tonight.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, seeing there are no other members of the public, we will move on. There are no proclamations or recognitions this evening, so I would jump down to the approval of minutes. If everybody's had an opportunity to review the Select Board meeting minutes of September 27, 2001, I would ask first if there are any amendments or revisions. And if not, we do, I know you weren't here, Selectman McComb, but we do have a quorum.
Yep.
If there are no amendments or revisions, I would entertain a motion to approve the Town of Exeter Select Board regular meeting minutes of September 27th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
I'll abstain.
Okay, it's a 3-0 and 1 abstention. Thank you. And we do not have any appointments this evening. However, we do have a resignation to consider. And unfortunately, we know that Mr. Connor Berry moved from Exeter, and with that, submitted his resignation from the Communications Committee. So with regret, I would seek a motion to accept Connor Berry's resignation from the Communications Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. I'd like to thank Connor for all the hard work he did chairing that committee and all the work he did in helping with the report that the committee gave the Select Board last month. He not only worked hard on the Communications Committee, but also the Rec Advisory Committee as well. So we'll miss him, and we wish he and Lucy the best. Okay, moving to our discussion items. Mr. Dean, I think we've had the appropriate number of readings on the land donation.
That's correct. This is the vote to actually accept the donation.
Okay. And I know we've spoke to this at prior meetings. If there are no other questions or comments, I would seek a motion to accept the donation of Map 28, Lot 16, from the estate of Mary Bauer.
Second.
So moved.
Oops. Very nicely done.
Selectman Brown moved the motion, and Selectwoman Gilman second. Any further discussion?
Just have one, actually, in the motion, should we mention for to the care of the Conservation Commission?
Okay, so the motion would be to accept the donation of map 28, Lot 16, from the estate of Mary Bauer to be monitored by the...
Would it be managed?
Managed by the Conservation Commission?
So moved.
Okay. Is that necessary? Or,
It's the same motion.
so I rescind. Can I just rescind mine? Or,
No, just say,
well, is that a necessary amendment?
I just thought we might make it clear that it's for conservation purposes and not some other use like parking lot, or for now, anyway.
Or will they'll be doing something with it that a normal land donation would not have happening?
No, no, but I just, I don't remember what does the deed say it's for conservation purposes?
It should, yes.
Then never mind, you don't need to change your, never mind.
Yes.
So we'll leave it. I'll leave it.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. And we'd like to thank the estate of Mary Bauer for this donation. Okay, next on our discussion items was the second reading of the tree ordinance. I am going to seek a motion in a moment, but Mr. Dean, did you want to provide the board with some details? I know last week when we discussed this, we asked Kristen Murphy, to reach out to legal And I believe they had some concern.
They did, and Kristen has actually joined me in asking the board to table this because there are some specific issues they brought up. Some having to do with tree ownership. For trees in the right-of-way, if that right-of-way is an easement, the abutting landowner owns the tree, and absent having declared the tree to be a shade or ornamental tree, council opines that they know of no authority to tell people they can't cut down or climb their own trees. And likewise, the tree warden cannot do anything to those trees because they are owned by the property owner unless there is an imminent threat to public safety. So there are a few different issues that they're looking at through the legal lens, and they're going to try to give us guidance as to how to proceed with this.
Okay.
But I think for now, it needs to go back to Kristen and the committee to do some more work on it.
And has Kristen briefed the tree committee?
I don't know if the committee's been involved quite yet.
Okay.
We just got this information on Friday, so
Understood.
it's still relatively new.
Okay, all right. Any questions or comments from the board?
Mr. Chair, I move to table the reading of the new chapter ordinance, the tree ordinance, sorry, for the future date to be determined.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Moving into regular business, we do not have any tax abatements, credits, or exemptions this evening. I do not believe there are any permits and approvals. So, Mr. Dean, I'd hand it over to you for the town manager's report.
I just had a couple of things. One is we met with the General Government Budget Subcommittee this morning for about 3 hours. It was a good meeting. So we're into that process. Excuse me. And I also wanted to report that tomorrow the Health Trust will do its rating exercise for health insurance, and it looks like if all goes according to plan, we'll come in at about 1.6% increase over prior years. So that's good news for the budget.
Fantastic news.
And dental is actually going to be a decrease.
Great.
We were told that today. So that's pending the adoption of the Finance Committee's recommendations tomorrow, but it looks good.
Okay, great. Anything else?
That's all I had.
Okay. And I do apologize. We met last Monday, and we usually don't meet consecutively, but with the holiday next Monday, we didn't want to go 3 weeks. Select Board Committee reports. Selectman Brown?
I have nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Selectwoman Gilman?
Well, in a short time period, all I had was the Recreation Advisory Committee, where we took a tour of the property on Hampton Road that is proposed for purchase. The building itself is quite extensive and will do a lot for programming, much more accessible with the adjustment of, or addition of an elevator, which has already been figured into the price that we're recommending. That the elder folks in our community will have much greater opportunity for programming.
Marvelous.
Yeah, the rooms are huge. There's plenty of office space and office space that can be changed over into smaller interview rooms or small group activities. The property itself is larger than it looks, particularly because on the tax map that Mr. Bisson used to tell us about it, still had the old barn on it, which was quite sizable. So the green space outside is large. The edge of the property is actually about 20 feet in from, or makes the yard look 20 feet narrower than it is because it built a arborvitae hedge on their property, but far inland. So and being contiguous to the playing fields and access to the playing fields. And in fact, people have already started using it as parking, and I have to ask people that it is not yet available for parking, so please do not park there. You'll have to continue to use the regular parking lot until the decision is made on this property.
Great.
And that's it.
Thank you. That sounds wonderful. Selectwoman Cowan?
I do have something to report. We had a very lengthy planning board meeting where we did a number of things. We approved the application we approved the conditions on the One Home Builders LLC for their wetlands permit. It's down at the end of Charter Street, Charter Street?
Yeah, Charter Street.
Charter Street, yes, Charter Street. And then there was the W. Scott Carlisle, which is 12 single-family open space subdivision on Watson Road. I have talked a friend into maybe looking at that to come back to Exeter. You might remember her, Marcia, who used to serve as an alternate on the planning board.
Planning board.
She would be, I know I'm, she used to live on Watson Road, moved up to Maine, got a new job, crossing our fingers that we can get her back. And then there's the Kingston Road. You all might have seen, actually, we removed that, but you might have seen the Noria Energy. They've torn down that old Jaguar dealership, so that is moving, which is really exciting. And then I think that there was, oh yes, the Water and Sewer Advisory Committee meeting where we approved a bunch of abatements, and we discovered our Zoom problem and cleverly figured out how to still hold a public meeting. So those are my updates, and glad to be back.
Nice to have you back. Thank you.
I have actually two more things that I forgot.
Please.
On Friday, the Heritage Commission's Demolition Review Committee, which has been incredibly active this year than any other year I've been on it, is going to review proposed demolition of 35 High Street. And the house behind it, 35, is at the intersection of Portsmouth Ave and High Street. It's the one right ahead of you. And then we're also going to have a public hearing on 7 Wadley Street. I'm looking at the wrong month. Wednesday at 7 for the demolition at 7 Wadley Street. And then the other thing I wanted to remind people of is the redistricting information meeting at 6 o'clock on Tuesday at the Epping Courthouse in Brentwood. I hope people can attend to hear what's going on. These things are not well advertised.
Great. Thank you. The only committee that I attended was the Budget Recommendations Committee last Wednesday night. Mr. Dean met with the committee and went over the draft budget, similar to the presentation that he gave the Select Board last Monday. And it'll be exciting to see the subcommittee start to get to work, and budget's always an exciting season for me. Right? So, Sustainability Committee meets tomorrow, so I'll be able to update you at our next board meeting. And let's see, I'd like to thank Parks and Rec Department and all of the volunteers this last Saturday for the powder keg that was held at Swayze Park. I was not able to attend, but another member of my household volunteered, and by all accounts, it was very successful and safe, and people had fun. So it was nice to get that back after a hiatus last year. There's no correspondence. Mr. Dean, I think we talked about the board calendar. Obviously, we're going to meet October 18th, and then for November, we had talked about the 7th and the 21st. Does that still work?
It works for me.
Okay, does it work for the rest of the board? Okay. All right, we'll set that.
When is the all-day budget meeting?
22nd of October.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
And I'll plan to be at that.
I will be able to be part of it, but not
Okay.
the whole thing.
Great.
The 18th, just to let the board know, we have a cable TV contract update coming from Kate Miller.
Okay.
So she'll be here. She's planning to be here on the 18th, as well as the Riverwoods tax agreements. So we'll have that. We'll have somebody from representing Riverwoods that will be here as well.
Okay.
And then typically we have this time of year our annual fund balance discussion. So we'll see if we're in position to do that next week.
Okay. And in addition to that, just to let the board know, Selectwoman Roundtree Olaf and I have been working for the last few months on reviewing the boards and committees. That was one of the goals that we set back in April. And We last met about a week and a half ago and finalized our recommendations, and right now we're wordsmithing our memo to the board and to Mr. Dean, so hopefully we can present that the 18th as well. Okay, if there are no other comments from the board, I would entertain a motion to enter into non-public session. And the RSA is 91A, 3, 2, A, and C.
Mr. Chair, I move we go into non-public under 91A, 3, 2A, and C.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Selectwoman Cowan?
Yes.
The clerk says aye. Mr. Selectman Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Chair?
Chair says aye. Passes 4-0. We will move into non-public.
So, Mr. Chair,
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.